Snacks were on the coffee table and a bottle of champagne was chilling in an ice bucket next to two champagne flutes. I was wearing beige pants, a matching short-sleeve shirt, and loafers. My wife was dressed according to the instructions of her new boss, Mr. Kingley, as something between a cosplay prostitute and an anime character. Emily, my wife, winced, then grinned and said, "Nick, this is what he wanted." Before I could say anything, there was a pretentiously loud knock on the door, 3 times. "It must be him. You better open the door for him." Emily looked down. "From what I heard, he doesn't like being kept waiting." I entered the lobby of our apartment, opened the door, and came face to face with a large man who was well-dressed and clearly trained. He looked good, but just one look at his face showed the damage that excess of any kind, including food, drink, and a sybaritic lifestyle in general, could cause. If I didn't already know so much about Barthold Kingley, his face would be enough to make me hate him. In this regard, his face was just icing on the cake. I tried to speak to him in a hushed, respectful tone. "Oh, you must be my wife's new boss, Mr. Kingsley. Come on in. Everything is as you said. Everything is prepared." He didn't say anything, but grinned at me. Well, I will survive. The question was, would he survive? Emily sat on the couch, her plump hips highlighted to great effect by the very, very short skirt he had bought for her and given to her earlier that day at their employer's office. Kingley sat down next to her, put his arm around her shoulders in a very possessive and familiar way, and said, "Cook, sit in front of us on this chair." That's exactly what I did. I hoped the shy expression I put on worked. Fine, it looks like that was the case. This is what needs to happen, Cuck. I find your wife very attractive. That's why I gave her a job as my new assistant. He laughed at his own joke. I'm going to have sex with her morning, noon, and night. And there's nothing you can do about it, you understand? I nodded. How will this affect me, Mr. Kingley? He grinned. You won't have sex with your wife. I nodded. I looked upset. Apparently, I looked pretty upset, and he smirked again. He reached out, grabbed Emily by the neck, and leaned in for a kiss. He screamed in pain and punched her in the face, jumping to his feet. You fucking creature, what have you done to me? I deftly and quickly took my pistol and pointed it at him, standing up. You idiot! You will leave my wife right now! What the hell? She stabbed me, he exclaimed. And why are you pointing a gun at me? I will kill you both. It's a silent pistol, and it will kill you, but more silently than most other pistols. He moved away from Emily, and I noticed a blood stain on his right side. Yes, she really stabbed you. She used an ice pick. Not the climbing ice axe used to kill Trotsky, but the bartender's modified ice axe. He shouted, I don't give a damn about fucking history lessons. I'm going to call the police on you two psychos. I shook my head. In fact, no one will call the police. You see, my wife's name isn't actually Ashley Jones, and she's not actually a secretary. We are a team of hitmen, husband and wife, and we have been given a contract to eliminate you. His face turned pale. But why? What have I ever done to you? I shrugged. Nothing. But it's not that. We were hired to bring you down because of what you did to someone else. While this was happening, Emily tied his hands with plastic police-style ties. To whom? Why do they want me dead? Emily spoke. Do you remember the job you got as a manager at Cranbrooks a few years ago? There you also pulled off your cuckold trick. But the girl you were targeting, Liz Foster, felt so guilty about helping you turn her husband, Tim, into a cuckold that she had a nervous breakdown and ended up in a mental hospital, leaving Tim to look after their 3 children, who are under 5 years old. But I never forced her to do this. And why does Tim want to finish me off? I intervened. Tim has nothing to do with this. Liz's father is a rich man, and he hired us because of what you did to his daughter, son-in-law, and grandchildren. He began to sweat heavily, and there was a terrible smell in the room from his fear. I'm rich. I'll pay you. I have a wife and children. Do not do that. We don't work like that. We must complete our work. If we take your money and leave you alive, we will be killed ourselves. Murder Incorporated did not die out in the 1940s. She regrouped and is still working in the United States, and abroad for the right money. Besides, Liz and Tim have kids, but you didn't give a damn about them, did you? With Emily's help, I gagged him, and we managed to sneak him down the stairs to our car. We had the foresight to rent a suitable apartment. He tried to resist, but after wearing him down, we were able to get him into the trunk of our car without further difficulty. We drove to a prearranged location outside the city, and I opened the trunk. He was dirty, so the stench was not pleasant. "Do you want to make peace with your God? Hey, I'm a psychopath, but I'm not a monster, okay?" He said something offensive, and I pulled the trigger. After this, there was silence. We closed the trunk again. Emily took out her phone and sent a text message to the cleanup crew who would come and clean up the mess after our work. Each has its own specialized functions. We did ours, they will do theirs. We hid a motorcycle nearby, which we usually used to return home. Well, to what was our home for this operation. Obviously, the police were interested in the disappearance of the recently appointed manager without a trace. They asked his colleagues what they thought of him. His newly appointed secretary, Ashley Jones, shrugged and told police, "I'm not entirely sure. He was like many sales managers I've met over the years, a little pompous and very arrogant. When they probed him a little deeper, they discovered that, although he had only been working here for a couple of months, he had already developed several ways to deceive his new employer, and that the wife and children in the East, who he said would join him, were not existed. In fact, several years ago, his ex-wife obtained a restraining order preventing him from even having contact with her and the children. We cleaned out the apartment while we waited for the forensics team to visit, and 2 months later, Ashley Jones handed in her 2-week notice because her husband had gotten a new job in Florida, and we terminated the lease. The truth was that we had a new contract in California. It was cool because we both love California. In addition to working for good pay, we surfed, hiked, and visited art galleries and museums. Well, even assassins enjoy many of the nicer things in life. Subscribe to our channel so that your second shaft doesn't cheat on you, and go ahead and listen to the next story, because this story is nothing compared to the next one. If you're under 18, don't even think about listening to the next one.